the most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real-world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Welcome, race fans, to Brooklyn, Michigan and the Irish Hills as we head here tonight for a Monday night action, and that is going to be the Red Light Scrambler Series. We take what is now in NASCAR the most powerful and the fastest of the 3 top-tier vehicles in the Xfinity car here to the 2-mile D-shaped oval with 18 degrees of banking and a lot of speed and a lot of 2 and 3 wide racing, I am sure. Giving you the calls tonight, myself, Corey Silva. I will be manning the cameras, and I got Brandon Krutz in the booth with me here tonight. Gotta give a shout out to Track Cams 4 Gourmets, as well as Brandon's company with Fame Motorsports for helping to bring tonight's coverage to you. So, Brandon, as we come to the 2-mile here in Michigan, as I said, this is pretty much the fastest track on the schedule these days, and especially in what is now the fastest car in the B car now that the Cup car has been toned down. So, given that, what are we expecting here on the 2 miles here today?
Corey, we expect high speeds, as always, when we come to Michigan. Speeds upward of about 200 miles an hour going down the back straightaway here. And, I expect a lot of pretty close racing here. These restarts are going to be very hectic to go through. And I think these guys are going to be really aggressive to start to try to gain any possible track position that they can. One thing I also do expect here is a little bit of multi-groove racing. Michigan, kind of use the whole track, very wide surface, a lot of places to go.
Yes, that is indeed the case here tonight. Again, a shout out to Track Games 4 Gourmets for the visuals we do have tonight. But again, relatively new, I think within the past 6 months or so, we do have this new, finally the updated repaved version of Michigan, and on the channel we did cover a couple weeks ago for the Premier Race Network. It was their race in the Cup cars here, and we saw very similar to what we saw in the real world here, where it was single file, you get the 2-3 wide, all the bunch of draft that you do get. But again, kind of heading to a different environment here with the Xfinity car, where I expect a lot of momentum-based driving to be very important. You don't want to lose the speed on the inside lane. You don't want to get too bogged down, because these huge straightaways here at Michigan will definitely cause you to pay the price for losing that momentum.
Yeah, absolutely, Corey, and that's going to be the biggest thing here tonight. Trying to keep the pace around this place is, with such high speed, such a consistent speed around this place also is, as you know, Corey, just very wide sweeping corners, long straightaways, very little room for error.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be something to take note of, as we are in the third race of the season in the Red Light Scrambler series. Remember, they do rotate between all three top tier vehicles. We raced to open the season in the trucks at Dega. We were at the Cup Series last week at Kentucky, and of course this week we find ourselves in the Xfinity car at Michigan, and next week we'll be hitting the road course in the Monster Energy Cup machines at Watkins Glen. So the dynamic that is this series, and leading the points right now is Sean Butler by one single point over Max Terrio in that second spot, and Max Terrio doing the best he can to change that result. Currently on the provisional pole by about a tenth over his championship competitor, Sean Butler. But we have Andy Lee with a good time in the second spot right now.
Yeah, it looks like most of the times throughout the top five are fairly close, just within a couple of tenths of one another. Top three looking really close, all within, top four rather, all within just 1/10 of one another.
Yes, indeed it is, as that is the end of qualifying, so these times will be finalized. So again, want to give a thanks to everybody for tuning in here to the Red Light Scrambler series on PTR TV. If you don't already subscribe to the channel, please give a shout out to that and do that for us. Helps the league out as well as us, and give a shout out to our Facebook page as well. But all that aside, we have a starting lineup to give to you, so let's bring it to you without further ado. Your starting lineup here tonight: Max Terrio, the Canadian, with the pole with a lap time of 39.079. Andy Lee on the outside of the front row. In third is the points leader Sean Butler, and Tim Blum on the outside of the front of row 2. Ryan Aldani in fifth, Ethan Troutman in sixth, and then we have Richard Murdoch and James Skelton 7th and 8th.
Starting in the 9th position is going to be Joshua Buckley. Eric Johnson starting in 10th. 11th is going to be Kyle Souza. Starting in 12th is going to be Dave Camara. 13th is going to be Brandon Minto. Patrick Orr starting 14th. 15th is Joe Strando, and Jesse Baker starting in 16th. Corey?
Tony Strano in 17th, Christopher Rothrick in the 18th spot, Eric Tupper in 19th, and Bruce Potter rounding out your top 20, and rounding out your field is Leo Bordage in 21st, Jeff Dooley in 22nd, Lee Bedsall in 23rd, and the Australian Kevin O'Brien in 24th.
And rounding out the field here that didn't quite take time is going to be DJ Anderson and Brian Phillips in 25th and 26th.
Of course, in our race analysis here tonight, Fixed Setup League, 50% fuel load and no fast repairs, so you cannot make that mistake of having any kind of significant issues, because you will not have a backup truck. And of course, our Fame Motorsports keys to the race here in the Xfinity car at Michigan. We talked about it earlier. You got to keep that momentum up. You make a kind of an unplanned move to the inside, get bogged down on corner exit, you could lose one, maybe even more spots as you go down these straightaways. Watch out down low. The Michigan Speedway, kind of announced to many people, actually is a multi-banked track. If you're down there on that first groove right against the yellow line, you are going to find yourself in a little bit more difficulty, as there is less banking down there, so you got to watch out for that. And of course, pit strategy, where we do have the 50% fuel load, which I'm going to take a stab at about, say, 20 to 25 laps these guys will be able to run. Probably about 25, closer to that. Going to be a lot of pit stops here, at least 3 here at Michigan. So make sure you are not running out of fuel and put yourself in a good position with the tire strategies.
Absolutely. So these guys got to stack up, double up, and get ready to go green flag racing this time by Corey. And should be a good show tonight. 70 laps around Michigan International Speedway.
And the last bit of race tidbit news is, of course, new to the iRacing service in the last couple weeks is the green-white checkers situation. So if that comes to fruition, we do have 3 attempts at that later in the race. Haven't seen it yet. Kind of don't want to see it, but if it is there, 3 attempts is what these guys will have as they come through corner number 3 and 4 at the 2 miles in Brooklyn, Michigan, the Michigan Speedway, in the Xfinity cars, round number 3 of the Red Light Scrambler Series, live here on PTR TV. 26 cars strong will come off corner number 4. Pace car pulls in to the safety of the pit road, and we will head into the Geico restart zone here at the Michigan Speedway. Max Terrio has the field in his command. He's waiting, and there it is, the green flag. We're underway here tonight.
Green flag is in the air. These guys steaming down towards turn number 1. Now the 42 of Terrio going to get the advantage down into corner number 1. He's going to get the whole shot down there. 25 on the outside. They're going to be 2 by 2 behind him.
Yes, they are. The 88 of Butler is battling side by side with the 25 machine. That's Andy Lee. They took close quarters racing off corner number 2, but Butler still will prevail to the inside lane, keep that position. He's going to try to sail it on in there in 3, but see if the 25 can battle up on the high side.
It's going to be the 25 up high, trying to hold his ground right now. That's Andy Lee. Gets a little bit loose off of corner number 4. That side by. Now looks like he's going to lose another position to the 88 of Butler.
Yeah, Andy Lee is struggling on that high side off corner number 4. That's going to allow the 88 of Butler to clear for second. You leave your top 2 in points, 1 and 2 on the field right now. We battled for the 4th spot. That's Ryan Aldani and the 10 of Tim Blum, as we do have 2 cars in the wall at the back end of the field right now. Brings out the caution. I see Bruce Potter in the 59. He is the black machine slow to the outside, and I think there was 1 more that we'll catch on the replay.
Yeah, it looks like the 2 cars over the outside wall. That'll bring out the first yellow of the night.
That yellow machine got into the 84. The yellow, I couldn't quite see who it was. I want to say it's the 909 of Jesse Baker. You get a different look at that. Yeah, Jesse Baker, the 909, he got into the 84, got the 84 sideways, and the 4 machine got into the wall. He touched someone in the 84, ended up getting into, that was the 997 of Lee Bedsel. And then Bruce Potter also had some residual contact from that. So
oh, man. Some hard hits up into the outside, safer barrier.
Yeah, so a lot of drivers very early in the race already undergoing their issues, but it still puts us in the position where we'll still have about 24 cars in an ideal situation in terms of their cars and lack thereof damage, so that is a good sign. But coming through corner number 4 here, and I wouldn't expect to see any significant amount of pit stops, especially this early in the race, but maybe some guys at the latter end of the field will choose to come in.
Yeah, I think if you're at the very tail end of the field, it would be the best opportunity to come in. As I stand corrected, looks like we did have a couple of guys pit.
Yeah, Sean Butler from the 2nd position choosing to head it down to the attention of his crew. Much to my surprise, yours as well, Brandon. So we'll definitely see if that has a positive effect. He did pull a large portion of the field in with him, so interesting to see how that does play out. But I mean, I always use my adage, Brandon, in these races that sometimes sometimes it's early enough in the run where we haven't even, wore the stickers off the tires yet. I would have assumed that to be the case, but evidently these drivers have thought otherwise.
Yeah, interesting strategy call by those guys up towards the front, and we'll definitely have to see how it works out for them. So far, still the Canadian, Max Terrio, up front in that 42 machine. So moving up to that second spot, going to be restarting on the front row. It's going to be Tim Blum in the 10. So should be an interesting mix-up here early on, and we'll see if those guys will be able to work their way back up through the field.
Yes, we will. I mean, Butler is going to now be... he's going to only be back to the 9th position, so a net 7 loss on that exchange. But, I mean, again, this early in the race, I mean, think of it from another aspect, Brandon. What if we're in a late race caution situation, have a green-white checker? I mean, it's kind of good to know, is 2 or 3 laps on the tire is going to be enough where if I'm in that kind of situation, am I going to want to come to pit road? Make those,
it's
better to learn early rather than late, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. A little bit of experimenting never hurts, and it's exactly what those guys are doing, I'm sure. But lights out up on top of the iRacing official Mustang pace car, and once again we'll get stacked up, doubled up, and get ready to go back green flag racing this time around.
Yes, we will, and we'll have a new driver to the outside, Tim Blum. Slightly different colors this week. We had a Tide ride last week, if I do remember, but a new ride up front for him. And Max Terrio had that 2nd place finish last week at Kentucky. Just hardly lost out on what was going to be a win. He raced Sean Butler, who him and Butler basically in this league are the 2 drivers to most watch out for. They have been up front for more laps than anybody else, so those are going to be people that we need to watch out for over the course of this season. But we'll see how Terrio is able to lead them down, and with what speed he does have coming down the back straightaway, Brandon, into 3, and we'll try to get him going for a second time here tonight.
First restart of the night here at the Michigan International Speedway, and once again, going to be Max Terrio getting these guys up and going once again. So, see how these guys handle the power. I'm going to be interested to see what it's going to be like on a longer run here. But pace car pulls in. 42 has the field stacked up behind him. Getting into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is back in the air.
I saw a little bit of wheel spin up front, Brandon. That 42 a little shaky on the start, but that is a learning experience for later in the race. He did get away fine. After that, Blum has a little bit of a push from, that's the 962 of Ethan Troutman. We will see that come into play here on these long straightaways at Michigan. 42 will clear by a long shot by about 2 car lengths, and they will be side by side, Aldani and Blum for second.
Yeah, going to be 2 by 2 back behind the leader once again. Everybody trying to run a little bit more aggressive here on these restarts, try to gain any track position that they can. Now it's the 98 machine soaring out into that 2nd position. It's going to be Tim Blum falling back in 3rd, and he's got company behind him. That's the 962.
And another one, Richard Murdoch, he is right up there as well in that number 01 machine. He's right behind this, looking to the inside, if anything, of who is that? He was looking a little bit to the inside of Ethan Troutman, but to the outside of him went Joshua Buckley. That's why he had to go to the inside. That 2 machine, that Miller Lite machine, going to the outside. And look at that 88 of Butler. He's going to the outside of Murdoch. So it does look like being stuck there to the inside. As I talked about, that loses you the momentum. May actually be better to be up there in that 2nd or 3rd lane.
Yeah, really good multi-groove racing we're seeing right now, Corey, as Butler does make the move work on the high side. Now he's got more company. Murdoch does up above him. That's going to be Camara up with the 972, right above him now.
Yes, it is. Dave Camara in that 972. He's going to be to the outside of Murdoch right there. Right behind him is Eric Johnson. As choo. Murdoch going to the caboose right now. Lost about 5 positions already since the restart, but looking a little bit further ahead. That's DJ Anderson making a pass, or at least trying to, on Ethan Troutman in the 962, and Sean Butler. Is he going to go for the 3 wide, thread the needle off of 4? Answer to that question is yes. 3 wide down the front straightaway.
3 wide down the front straightaway now, going down at corner number 1. Plenty of room to deal with here at Michigan, and no problem. Those guys managed to sort it down at corner number 1. Is DJ Anderson going to lose a little bit of time there entering that low on the bottom of the racetrack, but he'll be able to gather it back up and try to fight for position once again.
Well, now here comes David Camara and that Eric Johnson, Andy Lee and company, as everyone just, as I talked about, Brandon, you can see here, Anderson, he's not going down there to that yellow line this time. He's going to stay in that second lane. That's where the banking is. That's where the speed is. You don't want to be down there too far to the inside. Speaking of on the inside, here comes Butler to the inside of Buckley. That's for the fourth spot. Those fresh tires and the speed in that number 88 showing its assertiveness.
Yes, it is. So these guys answering our questions here as to if they were going to be able to make their way back up towards the front. So Sean Butler all the way back into the top 5 already, and looking to gain even more positions. He's got his eyes set on Tim Blum right now in the 10 machine.
Yes, he does. Tim Blum in the 10. He is in that third spot, and he is right on the back bumper of that 98. We're going to have to watch because Blum's going to have a battle behind him and in front of him. So what move does he make? Because if he makes the wrong move, he might lose a spot trying to gain one. Here he comes right to the back bumper of the 98 of Aldani. Didn't have anything to do right there, but that 88 got right on his back bumper, and we're going to have a battle for that third position, most likely entering quarter number 3.
Sean Butler right on the rear bumper of the 10 machine right now. Now down into corner number 3. He's going to try to sail it off in there and try to run the lower line. Now it's going to be starting to stack up behind the 42 machine. That's your leader, Terrio, back there, looking at his rear view and starting to see a little bit of madness back here, but these guys going to settle it out. Now Butler's got his eye set on the third position.
Butler going for that third position indeed. He's going to get it very easily. He's going to clear. I think Blum may have just gave it to him there. It's a little bit early in the race. You know what? Just go for it. I think that was the situation. We come down the back straightaway once more, and well, Blum, he's going to try to go for the crossover move to the inside. Not quite rolling over and playing dead yet is that number 10. He's going to sail it down in there, and he may try to get Aldani at the same time.
Yeah, Butler's kind of trapped right now up there on the high side and not willing to take it 3 wide quite yet. He's going to settle in that third position. Now he's going to try to look underneath the 98. Sean Butler going for second.
Yes, he is. Remember, it's 3-lap fresher tires on that number 88 machine, and while we may not have originally thought that was going to be a big deal, it definitely is. The 98 didn't get off of 2 at all that time, and as I talked about, you lose that momentum. What happens? He loses 1 spot to Butler. Now, just because of the momentum loss, he loses a spot to Blum, and you know what? Here comes Josh Buckley trying to play his hand and see if he can take advantage of that for the 4th spot.
Yeah, here comes Buckley in the 2 machine now, looking underneath the 98, and he's got his eyes set up there on that third position now. Here comes the 2 machine, trying to make it work down low, is not quite going to be able to happen. He's going to settle back there in 4th.
Yes, he is, as we'll take a gander a little bit further back in the field, see what is going on with some of these guys. Does appear that everyone's kind of got themselves in a single file position right now. We do have a little bit of a battle going. We thought we had a battle for the 17th spot. That has already ceased itself between Dooley and Jeff Strano. Drivers who were involved in that prior wreck, everybody, there's 23 drivers still on the track. Jesse Baker, Bruce Potter, and Lee Bedsel have all taken it behind the wall. So again, 23 drivers on the lead lap as we take lap number 15 here at Michigan.
A little bit of side-by-side for the 6th position back here. 51 trying to look it down low. That's DJ Anderson as he's trying to look underneath Ethan Troutman back there. Is a little bit loose down off the corner that time by. Now he's going to have company for the 33.
Yes, he is. That number 33 machine is Eric Johnson, and he is to the outside of the racetrack there, and they will go side by side off of corner number 4. The 33 is going to try to keep the momentum going up top. That will not be the case, and that's Andy Lee in the 25, taking a little bit of a look to the inside of the 33, trying to take advantage of the draft, but not as prevalent here in the Xfinity car as it is in the Cup cars. I saw some sparks there up front. I think that was Sean Butler getting a little wide in corner number 1, got the right rear into the fence, but he didn't lose any momentum in the process as he does close in on your leader.
Yeah, the top 3 drivers closed right into your leader now. Terrio's looking at his rear view and wondering what happened to the gap that he had. These guys are right on his tail now as Sean Butler has the wrong down off of corner number 4 this time. And Gonna try to get somewhere with it, but he's gonna fall behind. Did not quite have the momentum that time by. See if he can try again off corner number 2, but Butler's not in the clear either. He's got company himself.
Yeah, Sean Butler has that 10 of Blum, who has not fallen off. Blum's still on the older set of tires, similar to what your leader is on, Max Terrio. And I think at this point, Brandon, the tires kind of have leveled out amongst the field to where these drivers don't really have the advantage. The freshness is taken off. So they're pretty much on even playing field, or as close as they can be. But we are on 17 laps up on green flag conditions for some of these guys. Brandon, remember, some of these guys have yet to pit. And with the 50% fuel cell in these machines, I think maybe a little bit farther with that caution flag we had, maybe about lap number 28. Some of these guys may be coming to pit road, I would take a guess at.
Yeah, absolutely, and definitely be sure to look out for that, as everything looking pretty clean and green so far, and would expect to have green flag pit stops at some point here soon, so probably about 10 laps or so. As once again, Sean Butler right on the rear bumper of the 42, just can't really get anywhere with it. It just seems like he tucks up behind him, and I don't know if it's aero tight or what, but he falls right back off.
Yeah, maybe he just had to use too much stuff to get up there in the first place. I think that may be a realistic possibility. So definitely something to keep an eye on. But here he comes, may have a little bit better run through corner number 4. He's going to take a look to the inside. Doesn't have enough quite yet, but you can see a little bit of right front damage to that number 88, perhaps from when he hit the wall entering corner number 1. Clearly not having too much of an effect on him, but when he gets up front, may lose a mile an hour or 2. We'll see, but for the time being, still in the second spot.
Yeah, so he's going to run really low down there on the front stretch, trying to gain any little bit of time that he can. Corey, this race has a pretty clean vibe to it right now, and you know, this is normally what we see from Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, again, we have a little bit of action going on off of corner number 2. That was with Ethan Troutman, Andy Lee. Lee nearly got in the fence off of 2. We'll go back on instant replay while we have the opportunity. See, he came off of corner number 2, got the right rear into the fence, kind of almost got down into the 962 of Troutman, was able to hang on to it. But just as you say that, Brandon, that is very much the case here at Michigan. Once you kind of get fizzled out, 5-10 laps into a run, it does kind of come into a place where drivers, they start to get into their own little zone. Everyone figures out the handling on their own different paces, and you do kind of get these long green flag runs, which is kind of conducive to a fuel strategy race. And with the limited fuel cell in these machines here tonight, a fuel strategy race could get pretty interesting.
Yeah, and as we were looking back on replay there, Corey, we did have a little bit of a battle for the lead, a little bit of side-by-side, as Sean Butler fell off just a little bit. There was almost a little bit of contact between those two guys fighting up front, and Sean Butler backs off again. Maybe going to try to cool those tires just a little bit and go back at it. So, again, we were emphasizing within just a few laps, should expect to see some green flag pit stops.
And of course, I think although there is a little bit of a differential up front, I do expect to see everybody come at the same time. So you're going to see Terrio come first. We'll bring up the stint graphic at home for you guys to see. On the right side of your screen, Terrio on 22 laps, the Time Machine of Blum on 22 laps, DJ Anderson on 22 laps. Those guys will have to come first. But we're dropped off about a second and a half on the tire wear at this point. So I would imagine that you will see everybody come at the same time, because remember, every lap you stay out on older tires, that's more time you're going to lose. Once the pit cycle does go through, you're going to lose 1.5, 3 seconds. And look at Terrio in the fence off a 2 down the back straightaway, loses his momentum. There goes Butler, there goes Blum. So
Terrio was fighting for the lead, and now a little bit of contact with the outside wall down off of corner number 2. That's going to push him back to the 3rd position. Sean Butler takes over the lead now, as Terrio is now back to the 2nd position, as we lost our 2nd placement.
Yes, we did. That number 10 machine of Tim Blum. Well, we lost him to the place of pit lane.
Yeah, so green flag pit stops already starting to commence here as we've got about 4 or 5 guys on pit road this time by maybe trying to short pit a little bit, maybe trying to grab that little bit of advantage and see if they can't get something from it.
And just talked about up front. I remember I talked about Butler. I thought he would pit a little bit early or on the same lap as the remainder of the field as Terrio did come to pit road this time, but I remember he had that less fuel in the cell. But up front, much to my surprise, I thought that Butler would have pitted, but he chose to stay out. Remember, he's going to be losing time on that call, but he may get it back later in the run because he is going to have slightly fresher tires, so we'll see how that does play out. We do have Eric Johnson, Andy Lee, James Skelton, Brandon Minto, Patrick Orr, Joe Strano, Tony Strano, Brian Phillips, and Kevin O'Brien. Top 10s have yet to make their first green flag stops.
So Sean Butler continues to stay out and continues to lead this thing as, it's going to be really interesting with the different strategies we got going here, Corey, as he puts Terrio a lap down, and I'm sure Terrio will easily gain that back.
That's going to be the first thing that 42 has on his checklist right now, is to get that lap back. If there is a very untimely caution right now, if you're that 42, you don't want to be the free pass. You want to be able to, actually right now, David Kamara, he's actually the free pass in that 972. So actually he just got his lap back.
And now here comes Terrio to get his lap back. You can see just how much faster these guys on fresh tires are compared to the leader.
Yeah, and that's, as I said, all of this advantage that these guys are gaining on fresh tires, that just adds up, it adds up, it adds up. And then when it comes to the time for Butler to pit and cycle through, he's going to have to gain maybe 3, 4, 5 seconds before he has to pit. But think of it in this way. We don't know how long these guys are going to stay out for. Remember, this could be saving a pit stop if this race goes green all the way to the end. This is what we don't know. But here comes Butler this time by in that number 88.
Sean Butler making his way to pit road now, locking him up just a little bit, makes this pit speed, and a couple others behind him coming in, but yeah, that's going to fall to his disadvantage to start. We'll have to see how it comes in later in the run, though.
So now the major question is going to be is how far back is he going to be in relation to the guys up front? But Tim Blum, he is going to be the leader when this all shakes out. Ryan Aldani in second, David Kamara in third, and Max Terrio, he was in second. He is now going to be in fourth. But where is Butler going to shake out in the mix? He's just now getting the left sides of the air. The jack drops on the number 42 machine. He is going to exit pit road. Blum already by. Aldani already by. Kamara already by. Terrio, Anderson, Buckley, Johnson. He's going to fall back to 8th position and probably be the better part of about 5 or 6 seconds off the pace.
Yeah, that's really, really tough call there, and we'll have to see how it comes back to help them fight later in the run, but I'm not sure about that call on that team's part.
Again, so let's just put it into this effect. He made about a 23 lap run. Remember, we had that pit stop about lap 3. 23 laps, that puts him in a spot to pit on about lap 50-ish. And then that's one more stop from there. So, I mean, if it ends up being a 2-stop race for everybody, well, actually from this point on, another 1 stop, then I guess I really don't understand it myself. I don't really think there is a way to shorthand it on the pit stop cycle. I think everyone's going to make one more stop about lap 45 to 50. So, yeah, given that, I really don't know myself. And he's actually 7.1 seconds back on the official telemetry.
Yeah, I don't think that was a very good call, and I think he would have been a lot better off pitting with everybody else. In the long run, I really don't think he's going to be able to gain 7-some seconds back on the leaders, especially the traffic in between.
But there's one thing I want to preface, and it's about Brandon and I. Most of the time we're wrong, so if we don't, there's a very good chance Butler's going to come back and win this race, and we will we'll eat our words and say that we don't know what we're talking about. So
battle for the third position. Terrio trying to make his way back up through and back into the top three here in a 42 machine. They're going to be side by side through quarter number one. Terrio slips up the racetrack just a little bit. Now it's going to diamond it back off, and looks like the high side seems to be the strong point right now, Corey. Just a little bit of the edge up there.
yeah, just you don't have to, as we talked about, momentum, and momentum. Watch out, because who is that behind? That's DJ Anderson right on the back bumper of the 42. Gotta watch out. You could get him a little bit loose, and that would not help anybody's cause. But look at them spreading all around here at Michigan. 4 cars right in close proximity. And, well, look who is right behind this battle. Battling with the 2 of Buckley. That's Sean Butler.
Yeah, so 4 cars under a blanket right now. Now Buckley and Butler wanting to join the action up there also. Here comes Sean Butler in the number 88 Toyota. He wants a piece of the action. So 5 cars, almost 6 cars now under a blanket. Terrio pulls away from that pack. Sean Butler trying to make his way underneath the 33 and the 51 now. And now almost a 4 wide situation for those guys. They're going to go 3 wide off turn 4.
Yes, they are, and Butler not afraid to challenge these guys, and he knows he needs to get this time, and he needs to get it quickly, so we'll see how it does play out, if he is going to be able to get back to the spots, but he's going to be in third right now, and he's going to be challenging Terrio in a matter of a couple moments. And then he's going to set his sights directly on your leader, and he's about 5 or so seconds behind, so he is definitely closing in, definitely gaining time. The question is it going to be enough time before the next set of stops?
Yeah, and the biggest thing is, too, Corey, is he doesn't want to burn up his stuff, once he gets up there, and then he can't do anything with it. So, or burn his stuff up before he gets up there, and then he's stuck in a hole.
Yeah, he will be stuck in a hole indeed, as, again, we are on, well, just about at the halfway point in this race. We'll give you a little field rundown when that time does come, and we're on round number 43, as I made a typo up top on the ticker. Round number 3 here at Michigan, and here he comes to the inside of the racetrack. That is going to be a pass for, well, actually, the 3rd spot. Riyad Aldani is going to be a little bit further ahead, a lot of bit further ahead, about 4 seconds until Butler catches that number 98 machine. But let's bring up the lap graph here, the top 10 lap times for the drivers up there, and you can see about a 40.35 for Tim Blum last time by. Check that, a 39.83, half a second faster, and he was making a pass last time by.
Yeah, so Butler showing some pretty serious speed here right now, as he's going to work his way around the 98 machine easily now, as that puts him into the 2nd position. He's going to have his eyes set on a 1st, which is, well, about a half a straightaway ahead of him.
And we'll bring up the lap, we'll keep the lap graph up, a 40.54 to, well, again, a half second faster. He's 4 seconds back. Do the math, that's 8 laps. And that puts him in a spot where he would be up there about 10 laps, well, 5 to 10 laps before we would have green flag stop. So there is a high probability that this move is going to work. I mean, it's just, it's just kind of nerve-wracking, Brandon, when you're the guy who is following. It's a lot more nerve-wracking than the guy who is, leading it down. I'd rather lead the field down on older tires than have to play catch-up, because if you don't play catch-up, well, you're under more scrutiny, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that one, Corey. Chasing someone down takes a lot more patience and way more persistence than trying to, keep someone back. And with a clear windshield ahead of you, it's a lot more clearing for the mind. And, you're not worried about 10,000 different things.
So if it does cycle around and they do make pit stops and Tim Blum is still your leader, then it's just going to boil down to a full speed competition between Butler and Blum. I think Butler is faster than it, but Tim Blum may have enough of the mathematics on his side. But as we are slightly past the halfway point in this race, let's go ahead and give you the PTR TV through the field here right now. Tim Blom leading 10 of the laps thus far is your race leader. Sean Butler, having led 5 laps, is in the second spot. Ryan Aldani in third, Max Terrio in fourth, Eric Johnson in fifth, DJ Anderson in sixth, James Skelton in seventh, David Kamara in eighth, and then we have Andy Lee in ninth and Richard Murdoch in the 10th spot. In 11th is Patrick Orr, Ethan Troutman in 12th, Eric Tupper in the 13th spot, Brandon Minto in the 14th spot, Leo Bourdage in 15th, Joe Strano in 16th, Tony Strano, there may be a relation there that I'm not entirely positive, in 17th, Brian Phillips in 8th, Kevin O'Brien in 9th spot, and then Jeff Dooley rounds out your top 20. Remainder of the drivers on track. Josh Buckley in 21st, who is now on pit road. Christopher Rothrick in 22nd, and Bruce Potter in 23rd. Kyle Souza, Jesse Baker, and Lee Bedsell off of the behind the wall at this point.
So, that is your full field rundown, and
looking at Josh Buckley, Brandon, he's been in the pits for quite some time. Not sure if something did happen to him. He was a front runner in the top 10, top 5 rather even, and he has been in the pits for an extended period of time, so not sure what's going on with that number 2 Miller machine.
Looks like he took a little bit of a trip down the backstretch a few laps ago. Corey got into the outside wall, but really not that much contact was made. And he did make a couple of more laps after that. I don't know if he just didn't like the handling of the race car or what, but now as we say that, he's making his way back out onto the racetrack. So maybe he's just trying to make repairs on that number 2 Miller Lite machine.
He's going to be 2 laps down, which there's only one driver 1 lap down. That's Christopher Rothrick right now. So, I mean, if we had some cautions, he'd perhaps be in a position to get 1 or 2 of those laps back, but we're just not in the kind of race right now where you would expect there to be that kind of situation where we're going to have multiple cautions. There really just hasn't been any. So we had that one earlier in the race, and ever since then, it's just been a matter of, these green flag runs, which is great to see. It really puts the drivers in command of it, and we are getting to a point where Sean Butler is now 2.2 seconds back, still running about 3 to 4 tenths of a second a lap faster than your leader. So at this pace, he's going to be up there challenging for the lead in probably about 5 to 6 laps, if even that. And just at that point, Brandon, 5 to 6 laps, these guys are most likely going to be coming down for their final stop. So the timing is going to work out. It's pretty much just going to wash out from where we were before the first set of pit stops.
Yeah, and I'm going to be really interested to see what Butler decides to do with the timing of the pit stop also, as if he's going to try to stay out that extra 4 or so laps again, or if he's going to try to come down with everybody else. That way it comes down to just having speed in the race car.
Well, or he could even do the reverse psychology, is he could go for the undercut, and maybe he could try to draw first blood and take that advantage. If he does feel like he has, better speed just on a single car basis, it may be advantageous of him to, as I said, lead it down and make that first stop and not have to play catch up. He could just get the lead himself and do that. That is I think it's a viable option, but he already has this lead down to less than 1.5 seconds, so I don't even think I think he's going to have the lead in 2 or 3 laps. But the one thing I am expecting is I expect the lap that Tim Blum loses the lead, I am almost certain he is going to pull to pit road that next lap. Would watch out for that.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that one as well, Corey. And, I'm really impressed with the way that Sean Butler's been handling this race car. He's been saving his tires, but he's also managed to drive up through the field a couple of times now, really. So, that 88 machine has some serious speed under him tonight, and that's who I definitely watch out for as the run carries on. And Sean Butler knows how to manage his race cars. He's quickly hunting down your leader, Blum.
Something we haven't seen is the lead is under a half second. Max Terrio, he's been stuck in 4th. He hasn't been able to get by Eric Johnson or make any kind of progress on these guys up front. He made that contact with the wall. Maybe that car has just not been the same. And here we go for the lead. Here comes Butler to the inside. Now, what does Blum do? Is he going to fight off at all? Is he going to make the hard cut into pit road? If I'm the 10, I would come to pit road this lap if I'm the 10, but I don't think he's going to do it. He has a 59 lap down car, Bruce Potter to his inside. Blum will stay out another lap.
Yeah, I think at this point, too, Corey, is these guys want to make sure that they can last through any green-white checkers that they have to through the end of this race. You know, if it does come down to that type of strategy, you know, if we get a caution, I would expect all these guys to pit, but just making it to the end, I expect, you know, these guys to get about 24 laps on a tank of fuel, so just trying to double check and make sure that he can make it to the end of this thing.
Yeah, and that's just a new dynamic we haven't had in Joe Serrano coming to pit road here. He was in the top 5, I do believe, if memory serves, but pit stops are starting, and here comes Tim Blum to pit road.
So there's the 10s at pit road that time by Max Terrio and others stay out that time. So Blum drawing first blood in that regards up towards the front of this thing.
Yep, and then what does this do for Butler? When does he choose to pull it into pit road? He was only a second back, was Blum that time by, so he didn't lose too much time, which does help him out in making these pit calls to be able to see if he is going to be able to, you know, still take some advantage off of pitting early. And Butler is going to stay out one more lap, and that's just one more lap to add some time to help out that 10 machine once he does get out back on the track. And there he is, Eric Johnson, pitting from the second spot.
Yeah, so Eric Johnson in pit road, and yeah, Sean Butler is going to have some ground to make up once he comes back up. We've seen him do it once already. As a matter of fact, I was quite shocked that he didn't burn off his stuff before he got back up towards the front of this thing, but he sailed right on by Tim Blum, is, you know, pretty much right on time, so maybe get to see if he could do it for the end of this thing also, Corey.
Yep, and then we have James Skelton coming to pit road this time by. We'll see if third place Patrick Orr does stay on the track. Brandon Minto does stay on the track, as does your leader. So Tim Blum, he's already back on the track. He's already back onto the lead lap, which is a big sign that he will not be at that kind of disadvantage if a caution does come out. So he will not have to worry about that, and we'll see this time by as coming into 3 is your leader Butler. Is he going to make the trip into pit lane? Answer is yes. Sean
Butler stayed out for an extra 3 or so laps. Now he's going to lock him down, and really good pit entry there, so that'll help him out a little bit, as he's just got to get it clean into his box from here on out.
Yes, he does, and we'll see if he is going to be able to do that. I mean, we do know that making a little bit of a mistake on pit road here in iRacing, a very easy thing to do. He does lock it up a little bit on entry, and luckily did not have to back up at all, so he will be able to have the ideal pit stop, and hopefully that works out in his advantage. See, left side's up, left side's down. Looks like about a 14.8, so a pretty decent pit stop for that number 88 crew. Now, where is he going to blend out in relation? Here comes Blum. This is for what will be the lead. Blum is going to try to get the biggest lead possible. You can see on the apron there, as Butler cannot merge onto the racetrack until right there, that blue cone off corner number 2. It's going to be another cat and mouse game, and we'll wait for the telemetry to update, and we'll let you know what kind of interval it's going to be, but it's going to be a pretty sizable one with 20 to go.
Yeah, so 20 laps to go the next time they cross the line, this time by, and right now it's going to be Tim Blum, your respective leader, once everything cycles through, currently in that second position up there, so yeah, going to be interesting for sure, and some really surprising strategies from some of these guys
Actually,
already.
Brandon, it's not as big of a gap. I mean, I kind of took the spatial awareness a little bit incorrectly there. Telemetry is only showing about 3 seconds. Blum is 16.5 back off Minto right now, but 19.5 back on Butler, so 3 seconds to gain, well, 3 seconds to gain, 20 laps to do it. The gap on tires, 3 laps. So as Minto down to pit road, so that will give the lead back to Tim Blum. And I think Butler may be in a pretty, as we said, we don't know what we're talking about. This is why we're not crew chiefs and we screw up races all the time. That 88 of Butler seems to know what he's doing. He is going to have some competition, as is Tim Blum, because Eric Johnson in the third spot does have slightly fresher tires than your leader, and he is in second in between this battle. And I'm already seeing Butler within 2 seconds of the lead right now.
Yeah, and now it's going to be a battle for the lead up front, which is going to help Butler even more. Side by side, almost a little bit of contact between those two drivers up there as well. Eric Johnson hungry for the lead now.
Yeah, but the position in the favor of that 33, he had the outside of the track, and that's where you wanted to be at that point on the racetrack. So now, a little bit of a dynamic. Eric Johnson has 5 laps on the tires, and Sean Butler has 3. So is that going to be enough to add any kind of, little bit of a change of pace of this race? We didn't really see Johnson earlier in the race be one to watch out for, but here he is when it matters, putting that number 33 machine in the prime position up front. So, but Butler within a second. So it's definitely going to be an uphill battle. And again, Brandon, I'm just looking at the lap graph once again. Last time by 0.6 of a second faster Butler was than even your leader of Eric Johnson.
Yeah, Sean Butler going to make his way around to Tim Blum right now. So easily clears for the second position. Now Butler has his eyes set on the goal. The leader is just in front of him now and quickly gaining time in the 33.
Yes, he is. And again, this is right now, I mean, albeit there's a 2-lap window on fresher tires right now, this is a point, Brandon, where this is just speed at this point. You can only attribute so much speed to 2 laps on the tires. There is a little bit, don't get me wrong. But I just feel like that 88, I mean, I know I looked at the results from last season, Brandon. John Butler won 9 races last year to 4 against Max Terrio. So obviously, Sean Butler is kind of the king of this series, and just showing exactly that with his efforts in tonight's race, and almost went for the lead there off of 4.
Yeah, he's going to try to look down low now, but I think the momentum going into quarter number 1 and off of quarter number 2 are going to be the biggest factors in this, and he should be able to maybe clear the 33 off quarter number 2. He's going to look to the outside this time by, and now going to fake. Is he going to duck down low? That he is. Going to be side by side for the lead now, 33 and 88.
Yeah, now it's just how good of defense can Eric Johnson play, and what can he play it for 15 laps? I highly doubt that's going to happen, as Butler drove it on in there into 3, and all you can do if you're the 33 is to try to stay door to door, and he was not able to do that. He's going to look to the inside all the way down there on the flat. He's bump drafting him down the front straightaway, but I don't think there's any gasp of air left for that number 33.
No, I think that was his last-ditch effort there from the 33 of Johnson that time, and I think the race is really in the hands of Butler now with under 15 to go.
Yes, it is, as he's just that much faster than everybody else. And one that I was talking about a little bit earlier, Brandon, is that 42 of Max Terrio. He has been able to get by James Skelton, and now he is closing in on Tim Blum for that 3rd spot. Terrio obviously led the race down earlier, got the pole, but just hasn't really had the race pace or so we've seen thus far to challenge with Butler up front. But he's at least going to try to go for that 3rd spot, and it looks like he will get that with relative ease, entering turn number 3. But he has 2 seconds to go until he gets to even Eric Johnson for the 2nd spot. So, I mean, one thing that could change this race entirely is a caution flag, Brandon. But, I mean, in this kind of a race, it's just, I don't really see anywhere on the track where we could get a caution.
No, I would not expect it, and I have full faith in these drivers that everybody can keep it straight from here on out. So, and I'm sure Sean Butler's hoping for the same thing, is everything's fallen in his favor so far with strategy and him having pretty much overall speed here tonight. So, Sean Butler was definitely the one to watch out for. And Corey, I think earlier we could call ourselves wrong when we question his strategy to begin with.
We will, whichever one of us talks to him, if he does end up going to victory lane, don't want to cut him down too early, we will apologize to him for calling him out on that. But we do have a side-by-side battle on the track. It is the 98 of Aldani who started the race off quite well, but has gone into the opposite direction over the course of time. Now he's back to the 10th position. Started 5th, was up to 2nd at one point, but now he's just going to be trying to hang on to the top 10. That was Patrick Orr in the number 9 machine who has gotten by him. And we got Richard Murdoch as well. He was another one who started the race really well, but just kind of in the top 5 almost, was knocking on the door, but kind of got into the wrong lane earlier in the run, and that just really put him into the wrong direction. Hasn't fully been able to recover, hanging on to the ladder into the top 10. And then right behind him, Brandon Minto. He was the last one to pit on that cycle, so he has the freshest tires. He is going to pass Murdoch with ease and probably get at least 2 or 3 further ahead of him. And
yeah, so pretty steady racing as these guys are coming to 10 to go this time by.
And then just over the course of this season, for those who maybe haven't watched our broadcast or know of this league, the Red Light Scrambler Series, the scramble aspect of it is the fact that they do mix up over the course of their over the course of their one single championship. They do scramble, if you will, between all 3 of the top tier NASCAR vehicles. So you have to be the champion of the series. You cannot just be the master of the trucks, cannot just be the master of Cup or Xfinity. You have to be a combined master of all 3 machines. And we do have the elimination style championship format, where we have the round of 12 down to 10 down to 8, and then of course ending up with 4. However, we're not going to be at the Homestead Miami Speedway. You want to be the champion of the series, you'll have to get yourself down to the Charlotte Motor Speedway in these very same Xfinity cars. But we will head to some varying tracks, again, Watkins Glen, Darlington, Myrtle Beach in the trucks. We're going to head to Pocono, ISM Raceway, Iowa. We will be heading to Homestead as well, so a very, very diverse series and schedule that these guys do have, Brandon.
Yeah, it's something that's really good to see also is the change from week to week, and keeping it diverse, keeping things fun and fresh every week is something that really keeps drivers around and keeps our viewers around also.
And it keeps the broadcasters around too. We got something different to call every week.
That's right.
And it's just 3 different disciplines, obviously, with the Cup cars. I mean, I'm looking at the schedule right now where we're in the Cup cars at Las Vegas, which, I mean, Brandon, I've been pretty much calling 1.5 mile tracks, Daytona Juniors, which that's pretty much what Las Vegas is going to be, at least for 10 to 15 laps. So we do have a battle on the track, Skelton and Terrio. Terrio was able to get by Skelton, but Skelton as well trying to, reverse the cards on that. Entering corner number 1, we'll see if that number 86, that bright pink machine, passes Terrio. He does do so. But let's see, we do head to Loudon in the Cup car, and I don't think that will race too terribly different. None of us have been there yet in any regards, or even in the real world for that matter, but we're still in the Cup car. So actually, as I look at the Cup car schedule, Brandon, I don't really see, besides Vegas, there really isn't any, I'll call plate-style speedways, so there is going to be a lot of skill over the course of this season.
Yeah, there is, and that's going to be really fun to watch. A lot of those tracks are extremely racy also, Corey, so it should be fun to watch later on this season. Of course, we are in round 3 of the Red Light Scrambler series right now, so I'm excited to see what's in the future of the schedule for Red Light Racing.
Yeah, and again, one that I would have circled on my calendar is trucks at Myrtle Beach. That's a combination you don't see very often, a track you don't see very often, and not an easy one at all. A fun track, but very difficult with how just asymmetrical that place is. So,
absolutely, it is an awesome track to watch a race from, though.
But of course, I mean, what more challenge do you want than Watkins Glen International in the Cup car? I mean, I suppose the league owner was nice. He didn't put him to Sonoma in the carousel version, which they are racing at this week, which will be interesting to see how guys handle the new inner portion of Sonoma to add to the challenge of an already amazingly difficult track. But Again, you got to stay tuned. PTR TV covering that entire schedule of this series up till the middle of September, with only one off week for the 4th of July, as I will not be around for the Darlington race, sadly. But getting back to what's going on up front, Sean Butler having led 21 laps of the race, up by 1 second. And one thing of note, Brandon, and I'm going to bring up the battle tracker, Eric Johnson is not rolling over and playing dead.
No, that's one thing that I noticed too, Corey, and I was just about to say something about that, is Eric Johnson really has not lost as much time as, we would have thought, and I think Sean Butler pretty much leveled out just a couple of laps after he got the lead, and, those two have been pretty equal from here on out.
Yeah, it's about a second. Last time by, Johnson was a little bit faster. Last time by, Butler was a little bit faster. So trading lap times, and some sparks kicked up again by that 88 entering turn 1. He's got to watch out for that. But again, just another...
Yeah, it's been about every lap so far, so I think he's lasted this long.
But another dynamic, Brandon, we always talked about here on PTR TV, we called it the iRacing cutoff lap. And, well... It's not,
that's not a thing anymore.
The iRacing cutoff lap is the white flag lap, or very soon before it. I think the way it's actually coded is typically off of 4 on 2 to go when the white flag is thrown by the flagman. That kind of throws away the green-white checker. But that's still one more lap, 2 more miles before that 88 can fully breathe, as Eric Johnson actually coming to pit road. Short on the fuel, perhaps, in the 33.
That's one thing I was worried about with those guys short pitting, Corey, as I mentioned earlier, is the amount of fuel. They can get about 24 laps on a tank of fuel, and I think Eric Johnson just miscalculated by 2 laps is all, and forced him to come to pit road. So, very unfortunate break for him in that call, but Sean Butler gonna cruise on out as he's gonna take the white flag this time by.
That is the flag in the air for the white flag, so one more lap will end this race, and that is gonna be the checkers as we head down here into quarter number 1. Again, a heartbreak for Eric Johnson, lost a second. He's all the way back to, where is he on the field now? I can't even find him in the telemetry. Back to 9th position, but off of 2 is going to be Sean Butler. Again, your champion from last season. He won 9 races last season, and coming off of a win last week in very exciting fashion over Max Terrio. A little bit easier of a battle here tonight as he led 25 laps, and he's going to have about a 4-second margin of victory. Coming off quarter number 4 is going to be the 88 machine. Sean Butler gets the win in Brooklyn, Michigan.
Sean Butler coming home with the win. It's going to be James Skelton coming home in 2nd, and in 3rd is the Canadian Max Terrio.
Yep, Terrio got pole, but DeSalle did not have enough for last season's champion as Sean Butler again. What did we say earlier in the race, Brandon, with the pit strategy? What did we say was wrong and that we really didn't think it was right?
Yeah, we didn't think it was right, and then you had mentioned that he's going to come back to prove us wrong and win the race, and he did exactly that. So, Sean Butler coming home with a win tonight at Michigan.
Yeah, and we will eat our words, but, I mean, kind of used to doing that at this point. Sean Butler gets the win here tonight in the dominating fashion with the proper pit strategy that we would have lost the race on ourselves. But let's go over the final results here tonight from the Michigan Speedway. Leading the field down to the checkered flag, leading 25 laps of tonight's race was Sean Butler. James Skelton in 2nd, leading 22 laps earlier in the race, kind of dropped back, never really recovered from it. Max Terrio does get himself that 3rd place finish, bottom end of the podium. Tim Blum led a good portion of the race on the pit strategy call with the 4th. Brandon Minto in 5th. Rounding out your top 10, Patrick Orr, DJ Anderson, Richard Murdoch, Eric Johnson back to 9th on that fuel call, and Ethan Troutman with the top 10.
Finishing in 11th is going to be Brian Phillips. Eric Tupper finishing 12th. 13th is Leo Bordage. Finishing 14th is going to be Tony Strano. Finishing 15th, Joe Strano. Ryan Oldani finishing in 16th. Christopher Rothrock finishing in 17th. 18th, Andy Lee. 19th is Josh Buckley. And rounding out the top 20 was David Kamara.
Yep, David Kamara with that top 20, and then rounding out your field here tonight was Brian Phillips. Oh, actually, hit that wrong button there. Rounding out your field, Bruce Potter, Jeff Dooley, Kevin O'Brien, Kyle Souza, Jesse Baker, and Lee Bedsel was your field here tonight. So now let's give you our rundown here as we start the post-race show. We'll grab these drivers up from their respective positions, bring them into the booth, and start talking to them. I think Brandon has caught up with your third place finisher here tonight. Actually, Brandon has run away. I think he might be getting a hot dog in the booth. Oh, Brandon, how's that hot dog? You're right away from me.
Oh yeah, well, it was good. I was trying to track down second place, but I managed to find him. So, but meanwhile, I did catch up with the third place finisher, Max Terrio. So, Max, you come home with a third place finish here tonight. Tell us how you're feeling about that run.
It was about fuel saving. It was obvious from after the first caution. I expected at least another one, considering last night's practice we saw a few, but last 60 laps were just about saving fuel at that point.
Yeah, you set fast time of the night, so you got the pole. Green flag pit stops after the first round. You fell back just a little bit, but overall, were you comfortable with the car?
Yeah, but I never could run 100% because I was all about saving fuel, so I didn't get the most out of it. That's pretty much how the race went.
Didn't get the most out of it. Unfortunate. You still come home with a podium finish, though. Is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, shout out to my girlfriend and my friend Max at Makeeng. Also the guys at Red Light, Josh, Jason, and Josh James and Richard running the league. Good job to Sean winning again, fuel saving at Michigan. Seen that before. And unfortunate for Tim and Barrett, they got short bit at the end. A good second place finish to a colorful car. I mean, I'm sure you guys noticed it, so I might mention it in the interview. So anyways, hope to see you next week.
All right, Max, thanks for your time, and once again, congratulations on a podium finish.
All right, thank you guys.
So I do believe Corey is caught up with second placeman James Skelton.
All right, James, and as Max called it, a very bright-colored machine here tonight, the Mustang you did have, and what ended up being a very green flag race, only one caution earlier in the race, and we talked to Max, and he brought up it was all about fuel saving and just getting to the end. We saw Eric Johnson run out of fuel, so first off, how was your race in regards to the fuel cell tonight?
Yeah, it worked out pretty good. So I'm teammates with Sean, who got the victory, and we got two other teammates. And before the race, we were trying to see if we can get 24. And as soon as that first caution came out, it was all fuel saving from there. And then Sean and I were really able to go about another 5 laps more than the rest of the guys, and that just kind of put us in the catbird seat since it went green to the end there.
So in a sense, I mean, we're talking to what Max said. He said he never, because he did not pit on that first caution, he was never able to really even run it 100%. Do you think that was kind of a game changer, and who was gonna, go for the win versus who just had to just putt around just to try to get to the checkers?
Yeah, for sure. Because even those 5 laps where they got quite a bit out in front of me, with the new tires, I was able to run 100%, and then those guys have old tires and trying to save fuel. I ran them down for the most part, after about 2 stints, and we all equalized, and it just worked out to Sean and my advantage, so we can get a 1-2 finish.
Yeah, indeed you do. For Need for Speed Motorsports, final question, second to last question. You guys take a different turn next week, no pun intended. First and only road course of the season at Watkins Glen next week. What are your thoughts headed to that in the Cup car?
I think it'll be fun. It'll be a little bit different. I haven't done an A-car race on a road track this year with the new setups in it and the new spoilers, so it'll be fun. I enjoy going right. I usually do just as good or a little bit better on the road courses, so it's a track that I definitely look forward to. All
right, we'll keep an eye on you and see what you do there next week, but anyone you want to give a shout out for your second place efforts here tonight?
Yeah, just my teammates, Sean, DJ, he's really our crew chief and pit strategist and fuel mileage guy, and he always helps us, and Josh for putting this thing together, and you guys for an awesome broadcast. So thanks for jumping on this year.
Yeah, 10-4, brother, not a problem. And thanks again, and we'll be talking to you soon, I'm sure.
10-4, Brandon. Thanks, and Corey too.
All right, and now Brandon has caught up with the winner of tonight's race, the number 88 of Sean Butler.
Yeah, down here in victory lane now with your winner, the number 88, Sean Butler. Sean, you had a rocket ship under you tonight. Tell us about your efforts here tonight, and tell us a little bit about your strategy.
Hey, Brandon. Yeah, just that first caution come out and I had decided I was going to pit. I was just trying to keep Max out there because I knew Max is really, really good at these tracks on a long run, so I just wanted to get on a different strategy and hope it stayed green, and it paid off. If it didn't stay green, it probably wouldn't have paid off. So a little bit of gamble after winning last week, and just get that win to fall back on to get us in the chase. So it's going for wins now.
Going for wins, absolutely. So you really did put on a show with a strategy here tonight. Tell us what was going through your mind. You got that first caution, and we were really not counting on anybody to pit there, but what was your plan when that caution came out?
Yeah, as soon as that caution came out, I knew we were really, really close on making it on a two-stop run. I knew we'd have to save fuel if it just went green the whole time. So I knew that would get us closer to that window, but I just wanted to be able to push it the whole way instead of having to worry about save. So I just took it hoping we wouldn't have any more cautions, like I said, and it paid off. And it just Max did a great job saving fuel. I mean, a lot of guys that was on his same strategy didn't make it. They had to stop again. So good job for him. Good job to my teammate coming home second in the Powerpuff Girls car. It's always funny to look at that, but yeah, just overall great run for us. I know Buckley had a little bit of an incident and didn't have the finish he was hoping for. DJ had some internet issues early, but Need for Speed put on a strong showing tonight.
Sean, before I let you give your shout-outs, I got to ask, how close were you on fuel at the end there?
Since I wasn't saving, I only had about another lap of fuel.
Cutting it close.
I was not saving at all. I was just pushing the whole way, so I was only making about 21 laps of fuel. So it just shows you how much people like Max and stuff are saving to be able to make it 23.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Sean, you come home with a strong victory here tonight. Is there anyone that you'd like to thank and shout out to?
Like I said, my teammates at Need for Speed, we practiced and I came up with our strategy for tonight. And like I said, we were planning on trying to make it on two stops. So I'm not sure if we could have done it, but it just worked out for us. And then congrats to Max, like I said, for coming home third, and my teammate coming home second, and everyone racing clean. And we had that one little mix-up in the beginning, and everyone just raced clean after that. So just shows the kind of league we are and kind of racing we do here. And thanks to you guys up there in the booth, and thanks to everyone watching at home.
Thank you for your time, Sean. Ladies and gentlemen, he puts it in victory lane tonight at Michigan.
All right, so that is your post-race show here tonight, and congrats to Butler on his second consecutive win, once in the Cup car, and tonight here in the Xfinity machine. And gonna wrap up tonight's broadcast with our sponsor shout-outs. Want to thank Air Movement Fabrication out of Nottingham in the UK, the ventilation service to trust. Of course, Fame Nation. Brandon, I'll let you do your own plug.
Yeah, so, a company I started just this year, Fame Motorsports, your one-stop shop for everything about racing, from custom hats, shirts, stickers, wraps, social media management, and much more. We're more of a brand than anything. Fame Motorsports is truly your one-stop shop for everything about racing. Check us out on social media and join the movement using hashtag FameNation, or check us out at our website at famemotorsports.com.
You may as well do the iRacing one too. You're better at it than I am.
And a shout out to iRacing from real world sanctions such as NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, Dirt Car, World of Outlaws, and much more. All of these real world series trust iRacing, and you should too. iRacing.com, the original esports racing game.
Yeah, because I'm not really as good at reading scripted shoutouts. So thank you, Brennan, for picking up that for us. But again, you watch the Red Light Scrambler series here tonight, Monday nights on PTR TV around 8 o'clock Eastern. We do have the Dreamer Racing series on Wednesday nights, again, right around 8 o'clock Eastern. So you can look forward to that. And still looking to fill in a couple gaps on our schedule. So you can check that out at primetimерacing.tv and fill out the form. And, I'll get back to you within a couple days and we'll try to see what we can do to help you out. PTR TV, home of the $40 broadcast. So wrapping up coverage here tonight is Corey Silva and Brennan Cruz. Have a great night, everyone, and we'll catch you next time.
Have a great night, everybody, and we'll catch you next time.